Hello, welcome to Learning Conferences. I am Miss Roll, your student's astronomy teacher. First of all, I know that parents oftentimes like to know who's teaching their kids, so I start off with a little get to know me slide. So first of all, my name is Kari Roll, and the last 4 years I spent teaching at Park Center. My main course that I taught was physical science, ninth grade science, but I've also taught astronomy before as well as environmental science. Some of my main goals and some of the things that I aspire to being a teacher is I really want students to get comfortable asking questions and taking some risks with their learning. I feel that when students are comfortable making mistakes, they are significantly more likely to learn things. And overall, other than teaching your students the standards that they do need to learn, some of my goals include fostering a lifetime of curiosity. I think being interested in what the world is doing around you and how it's doing it is always a great way to live life. Last tidbit of information is that I am an animal lover. I have many fish, some in my classroom, some at my house, a turtle who lives at my house, and this summer I just adopted a kitten, as you can see in the picture below. So if you come by any of our Google Meets, you just might see him running around in the background or climbing on my shoulders. Now I'd like to escape the presentation here, and I'm going to take you on a quick tour of our Schoology class. So when students land on our Schoology page, it'll look like this, and they'll see this big banner up top. All of these are clickable, so nice shortcuts for the students to use. A couple of things include our Google Meet. Every day that they need to log in, they can just click that link. They can email me. It automatically opens up an email with my email address already populated, so they can do that nice and easy. As well as the link for attendance on the days that we don't have Google Meets. This is the form that they fill out just to let me know what things they were working on and what they did that day. Also, the grades. Schoology is going to be our most current and up-to-date grade book. So encourage your students, or you can yourself, check that Schoology gradebook frequently to make sure that they're staying on top of things. As they scroll down, a couple of things you'll notice. At the top will be this astronomy notebook. All of the notes that we do for the trimester will be in this assignment, in this document. So students will be able to have all of their information in one place. There will be a folder for each week that we work on, which looks like this. That checklist for the week has everything that your student is doing for the week listed, including what day they're doing that assignment. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So hopefully that will help you and your student know what needs to be done when. And then I do break up the links and the assignments into some folders. So homework is for those asynchronous days when we don't have a Google Meet. So for this class, that is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I put them all in one folder because if a student would like to work ahead, they are welcome to do so on the homework. But then our things for our Google Meets for Tuesday and Thursday, I do ask that we don't work ahead on those, since we oftentimes will be doing some group work. Last thing I want to show you in Schoology here is the help folder. So I have posted this that includes a ton of resources. So if your student has a question, chances are good there's an answer here. So the link to my office hours, either they can reserve a time to work with me, or they can pop into my open office hours for when I don't have things scheduled. There's a frequently asked questions discussion. So if a student has a general question about the class, they can ask it here. That way I can reply to the answer and other students can see them as well. My syllabus will stay here all trimester for them to check on. And then the biggest thing I wanted to point out was this technology help folder. So the district puts out lots of videos and documents and things with tips about how to use the Chromebooks and other pieces of technology. And it kind of gets to be overwhelming most of the time. So I put it all together in this folder here, and we'll continue adding to it as we get more information from the district. So if you need any kind of technology help, I would suggest starting here to see if there is already some kind of information or tutorial that the district has sent us. So that was just a quick rundown of your Schoology course. I'm going to go back to presenting my whole screen here and give you some more tidbits of information. So what we are covering in astronomy, you can see those specific topics. We're going to start off with Earth perspective. How are we viewing the sky and what is the Earth doing in the context of our solar system and the universe? We'll talk about the sun and moon, what they're doing, how they're moving, and then our solar system. So what is inside, what is outside, and what would life be like at different places in our solar system. Some of the essential learning that we will be doing includes discussing our perspective on Earth and describing our challenges to observe celestial objects. We are starting kind of from Earth perspective and we'll move out from there. We're going to explain how and why objects in the sky move and those patterns of their motion. And then finally, describe solar system characteristics and patterns of planets, comets, asteroids, and habitable worlds, including students get the opportunity later on in the trimester to design their own planet, which I think is a pretty fun project for us. A couple of skills that I wanted to highlight this year in particular are communication and asking questions. So these are two skills that are always incorporated in the astronomy course, but are going to be really important this year as we are doing this distance learning. So one thing that's a little bit different than being in the classroom is that I don't get as much visual feedback from the students on how they're doing. So it's not as obvious when a student needs help, when a student's not understanding something. So please encourage your students to keep asking questions, keep checking in, letting me know how things are going, if things are working, if things aren't working. Since most of the students choose to have their cameras off, I can only really know what's going on if they choose to tell me. So please encourage your students to keep doing that, and we're going to work on building our skills at advocating for ourselves and asking questions. So I wanted to give you a quick rundown of what a standard lesson or Google Meet might look like. I always start with some kind of welcome and or check-in just to see how things are going. Then I'll give any kind of reminders or announcements. There's always things that pop up. And then usually I'll do a bit of a content review, check in on what they might have done during the asynchronous time, maybe some notes that they took, make sure that we're kind of on the same page for our learning. And then we will move on to an activity, which will take the majority of the time. These activities often require them to kind of get up and move around, maybe go look outside, do things like that. And the students might also break out into other Google Meets. So sometimes I'll have them working in small groups. So each group will have their own Google Meet. Sometimes they'll be working with a larger group of students. Maybe they're the ones who are willing to talk out loud and want to talk through things. Sometimes they'll kind of just hang out on mute on the standard class Google Meet and work independently. But it might look a little bit different depending on your student and depending on the day. And then finally, I do always have students come back at the end of our class period, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, to check in, double check if anyone had questions on the assignment. I might do a quick analysis of what the students understood or where they're at with assignments. And it also just gives us the opportunity to make sure that no students fell asleep or, got distracted playing video games instead of doing their assignments. So that's kind of what a standard Google Meet session would look like. So that was just a quick rundown of some of the highlights of this course. If you or your student have any other questions, please hop in to the live Google Meet session. I would love to chat with you and answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, you can always feel free to email me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And I hope that we have a wonderful trimester.